Right, welcome to our Artist of the Week. This week we'll be talking about Vincent van Gogh. Definitely one of my favorite artists, but it's up to you and your opinion. If you like it, great. If you don't, I'm sorry, but hopefully you do find something to appreciate about this artist. So this is one of the most famous paintings of all time, Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, and I'm going to take you to a little bit of a bigger shot. So if you know anything about Van Gogh, you might know that he was a little off his senses, if not very off of his senses. And he did live in an asylum, which is basically a mental hospital, because he was having some issues, and he actually painted this from the window from his asylum room when the sun was rising. Okay, and as you see, his work is known for these very obvious brush strokes. He didn't blend these away and make them look all smooth and transitional. He let his brush strokes shine through and be very present. Okay, he was known for painting in a post-impressionist style, which means that he didn't paint something exactly the way you see it in real life. It wasn't about making a painting extremely realistic. He basically painted the way he felt he saw something. And so again, we don't have that perfect, this does not look like a photograph. We can tell what it is, but it doesn't look like a perfect realistic photograph. We see evidence of the painter through, again, those brush strokes, being like, hey, I'm painting something and this is the way I choose to paint it. I choose to let it be a little gritty. I choose to let you see where my brush strokes aren't purely smoothly blended in, which is very new for artists of the time. That's not the typical way they painted. Okay. Van Gogh is also extremely well known for his sense of color. He had an extreme sense of color in lots of his paintings. As you see, we have a lot of contrast here between the bright yellows and oranges and warm colors against this very soft blue light tone. Okay, we have some more examples here. This is another famous painting. As you can see, these sunflowers are quite fierce. You can even see evidence of the brushstrokes we talked about in the background. Even though it looks all yellow, if you look closer, you can see evidence there. And these sunflowers are quite fierce. They look like they're trying to escape the vase or like even fight with each other. So you have a lot of emotion here, not just a simple vase of flowers. Okay. He did get into portraiture, and I'll show you a self-portrait very soon. But as you can see, we have those brushstrokes, those gritty, obvious, evident brushstrokes where we can see where the artist really took to the canvas and let himself play and let himself create his own style and texture and let himself be shown. Again, he didn't just blend these away to flat smoothness. He let the evidence of his brushstrokes be there. Okay, again, we have an example of that extreme sense of color, especially through contrast. We have this extremely bright, warm area here, contrasting to the very coolness of the blues throughout the rest of the painting. Okay, some more examples. And here's a self-portrait. And we're going to come back to this self-portrait because we're going to look at some notes. So for your assignment, I want you to in that Google Doc, I'd like you to write a little summary of these bullet points that we're going to talk about right now. So Van Gogh was from the Netherlands. I used to think he was French, but he was from the Netherlands. He spent some time in France, from what I remember. And he painted in that post-impressionist style, which wasn't about being super realistic. It was about painting to kind of express how you feel and your emotion. Okay. Fun fact, he tried to be a minister, but instead he became an artist. Okay. And again, there's that bullet point of that he was very interested in color. Now, we did talk about this. Van Gogh was known for having some mental issues. Okay. He did suffer from something called epilepsy, which is when you have frequent seizures. So if you have a seizure, your body just kind of has almost like an electric malfunction, and suddenly your body starts shaking uncontrollably, which is a little scary if you've ever seen it. I've seen it. It's very scary. But because of that kind of mental instability, if we look back up to his portrait of himself, a self-portrait, these swirly lines back here kind of make more sense. Now that we know that this guy had seizures, doesn't the brush strokes and the swirliness kind of speak to that shakiness? his mental stability was shaky. So hopefully you kind of see that a little bit more now. All right, back to our bullet points. Some more things that I'd like you to, make note of. He did have himself committed to an asylum, which is basically a mental hospital. And again, that's where he painted. The view from that room is where he painted Starry Night. One of the most famous paintings of all time was painted in a mental institute, okay? So, fun fact, he cut off his ear and he gave it to a prostitute as a gift. Okay. And then down to these two bullet points over here. So, he created lots and lots of paintings. Over 900 paintings in about 10 years, okay? I am nowhere near that. It takes a long time to make a painting, but that's just what he did. And you might think this is a little sad, but he only sold one painting during his lifetime. And it's funny because now his paintings sell for millions and millions and millions of dollars, but he was trying to make it as a painter and he just was not appreciated in his time. He unfortunately died at 37, and that was it for old Van Gogh. But I mean, his legacy still lives on through his paintings, so good for him in that sense. So that's it. So what you should do now is you should open up your Google Doc, write down the summary of these points, and answer the higher level question or questions that I've provided for you in that Google Doc. So good luck with that and have fun.